Hello everybody, this is Ryan and this is another video for data analysis and assessment. Today we're going to talk a little bit about pivot tables and conditional formatting. Here's the module. So we're going to do a couple things. We're going to use conditional formatting to color code your data, and I'm going to show you a pivot table to help you start to analyze your data and break it down a little bit. So let's go back and we'll look at this spreadsheet that we've been working on. Everybody's been doing a great job on this. So you can see we have lots of data in here. We have our OGL status we did last time based on the maps data. We have our combination of OGL and ethnicity. We'll be working with those today a little bit. And again, I'm going to show you some basics, and you can expand upon all this that I'm showing you. So let's start off with conditional formatting. So what we're going to do is we're going to conditional format this column right here based on whether or not a student is on grade level or not on grade level. So the way you do that is you highlight the whole column, and the easy way to do that in Google is to click on the header, click on the J, highlight it, and then go to the format, and then go down to conditional formatting. And the conditional formatting that I use a lot is called the stoplight formatting, and what that means is it's going to deal with a red, a green, and a yellow. And today we're just going to, since we only have not on grade level and on grade level, we'll only use two colors, so we're going to use a red and a green. But if you had three levels and you coded your data a little different here in I and J, you could end up with more. You can break it down a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that, here's some options here. We're going to format cell. We're going to format cell if it's several different things. You can use greater than a number, less than a number, equal to a number. There's lots of different things. You can even do text contains. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to do text contains, and we're going to say the word not OGL. So that's what we're looking for. We're going to color code those red. You see there's some defaults here, and I like, this is where the stoplight color coding comes in. It's red, it's yellow, and it's green. So we're going to call those red, and we're going to hit done. So now you can see we got the not OGLs are color coded red. Now we want to add a green in there. So to add another color coding, you just see where it says add new rule, click on the plus, and this time we're going to say that if the text contains, let's say, just OGL this time. And this time I want it to be green because that's what we're looking for. So we're going to put this on the green. And you can also do some other things here. You can actually change it to different colors here. You can also do bold it or underline it or whatever you want to. I keep it pretty simple. Click done. So now you have a pretty nice visual picture of the kids that are on grade level and who are not on grade level. Let's do a little more. So let's click off of this. I'm going to show you some more. And for your assignment, all you really need is to do this column right here. But I'm going to show you a few more things. So this time, let's see if we can get three colors going. So let's click on I, and we're going to add a new rule. And this time let's do is less than. So let's do is less than. Let's say less than 25. Let's make that red. And now let's do something where we get some yellow. Let's say between 25 and 75. Let's say between this time is between. And you'll notice you get a low value, which is with 225, and the upper value, which is 75. And let's make those yellow. So now you can see the yellows are showing up. And then finally we're going to do a green, which is going to be greater than 75. So we're going to do greater than 75, and we're going to leave that as green, which it defaults to, and hit done. So now you can see we have our three colors. This type of formatting is really useful when you're looking at your data because you can quickly see some trends in your data and how much color there is. Like when I look at this data really quickly, I'm seeing a lot of yellow, a lot of green, but a lot of yellow. I'm also seeing a lot of pink, which means I have a lot of kids who are just below 50th percentile, looks like to me. So that's what's interesting about using conditional formatting. So now let's close this out. And let's talk a little about pivot tables. Pivot tables are a way to summarize data, and I use them a lot to look at different things. So the way you do a pivot table is, first off, we need to select our data. So we're going to do that by clicking in this box up here to select the whole sheet. Notice if I click here and drag, I can click and drag, but I like to make sure I get all the data, so I click in this little box up here in the corner, and that actually selects all my data. Then I'm going to go to the Data tab, and I'm going to click on Pivot Table. And it brings you to a new sheet, and notice how it says Pivot Table 1. So a lot of times I'll leave that as Pivot Table 1, but then as I'm working on it, I'll start to make different pivot tables, so I'll start naming the tabs. And the way you can name a tab is like this. Let's say we're going to do OGL, by teacher. Okay, so there's our first tab. So we're going to look at the OGL by teacher. So we have rows, we have columns. So our rows are going to be the teacher names. So let's do teacher. Here's teacher. Notice I get all my teachers, and notice how they're not quite in the right order. So you can do some, you can sort it, but it's kind of weird. This 10 is going to sit there because of the way it counts. And we want to look at the number that are OGL, so we need a couple more things. So we're going to add a column, and this time we're going to add, in the columns we're going to add OGL status. So notice you're going to get a no score, not OGL, and an OGL. So that's kind of what our table is going to look like. Then we want to count how many kids each teacher has a no score, a no OGL, or on grade level. And that's going to go in our values. And we're going to look at, we're just going to count the students, so we want to look at their student number. And notice how it defaults to sum. We don't want sum. We just want to count them, so we're going to select the one that says, you'd think count would work. And it does. So now you've actually seen it here that if I format this a little bit, it'll be easier to see. So basically, teacher 1, that's the breakdown. So you can see they have 8 non-grade level kids and 9 on-grade level kids. Teacher 10 has 6 and 9. And what's cool is that if this is a whole school, you'll then see at the bottom kind of how it breaks out by school. So you'll see this school has about 50% on grade level and not on grade level. So that's how a basic pivot table works. And you can actually do different sums and averages and things like that. So that's our first one. And again, you only need to do one of these, I believe. So I'm going to show you several. So that's our first one. So let's do another one. So let's go back to our sheet this time. This time we want to look at average RIT score. So let's go to click on 2016 students. Let's select the whole sheet. And let's go to data and pivot table. And just to cost you a little bit, it takes quite a bit of time to learn these. But once you pick them up, they're really nice. But it does take a little bit of time. So just play with it. And eventually you'll really get good at it, and they'll be very useful. So this time we're going to look at average RIT score by grade. So we're going to add a row. This time we're going to add grade level. So you see my grade levels in my school. I got 1st through 5th, and we're going to look at average RIT score. So this time I don't need a header because I'm just going to average the RIT score for every grade. So I'm going to do my values this time, or what I'm going to average. So I'm going to do average, and we're going to do our RIT score. Or percent, I'm sorry, we're going to do average percentile. Which, again, I understand that we shouldn't really be averaging a percentile, but I don't have RIT scores in there, I don't believe, so we're just going to do an average of the RIT scores. You'll notice we have some errors in here, but that's how you would do an average. Okay, so I'm going to take that out. So let's take out the average this time. And then we'll get rid of it. I just click on it, and notice how it goes away. And let's do a count this time of the on grade level. So I'm going to add again, I'm going to put that on grade level tag back in there. And notice what happened this time. I'll do this one a little different. This is a little bit different, but you see how it's, this time I put the scores this way because I added to the row. If I want to put it in the columns, all you got to do is just drag it down and put it in the columns. And notice how it flips it up to where to the expected value. Before, let's add the values this time. Let's count the number of students in each one of those categories. It'll show up. So we're going to count them. And there they are. So that's basically what we're saying is other first graders, we have 2 with no score. You have 10 on grade level and 20 on grade level. Okay. Now I'm going to do another piece. Under the rows, remember that concatenation we did where we put the on grade level together with the ethnicity. Let's take a look at that. So on grade level and ethnicity. Let's do that. So notice what happens. So I'm going to format this row here, these rows, and I'm going to put them left. And notice what you get. Now it kind of breaks down your no scores and your on grade level. So you'll see basically not OGL, black, and African American. You'll see there's one of those. Now this is where you really need to be careful when you're looking at data on these within your school. This one student is pretty identifiable. I mean, really, we have you need to watch your groups because you don't want to be demonstrating data if you can easily identify that student. But you kind of see how this works out with the on grade level and the combining of fields. So you kind of see how it breaks it down a little bit. Once you can see your groups, you can kind of go down the page, and these are easily printed off. So that's our second pivot table. Just kind of wanted to show that to you. I hope it makes sense. And again, you can rename it if you want to. But I believe for this assignment, you just need to, on the create pivot table based on your concatenated data, so that last one is it right here. So basically, you just need to create a pivot table of some kind with your concatenated data, which would be your OGL and your ethnicity. And again, I'm interested in being able to see your sheet. Looks something like this. You can make it different if you want to, but the key is I would like to be able to see using this data right here in some fashion. And you can do it many different ways. You can put it in many different spots. You could actually put it up like this if you wanted to. And notice what that does to your data. A little bit different. You can take out your columns, and you can put this in the columns. So it's really, pivot tables are really, let's say, really flexible, and you can do lots of different things with them. And if you put this one above like that, it flips it up like this, you get your grades at the top. Take this off. It takes a little bit of time to reformat. You can even take this one off, and take the grade level off. So now what you're doing is you're just looking at these different categories about how many kids are in them. And if you wanted to add in a grade level, let's say, because you want to say, okay, or even a teacher, if you want to see, okay, what teachers have these kiddos? You can add a field, and you can add in teacher. So now you'll see teacher 11, kind of who they have. And I would actually probably put it like this. You notice kind of how you switch it around, so you kind of see the different ethnic groups, how they fall within the classes. So there's an infinite many ways you can sort this data and display it with a pivot table. They're very flexible. So again, this is Ryan, and it's nice showing you about pivot tables and conditional formatting.